On a cold March morning in Staten Island, something nobody expected happened. A 27-year-old runner nobody was talking about just destroyed a 36-year-old record that legendary Lynn Jennings set back in 1990. But that's not even the crazy part. She did it by running the final 200 meters so fast that Elle St. Pierre, one of the best distance runners in America, couldn't keep up. And you're about to see exactly how she pulled off the impossible. Let's rewind to February 28, 2026. The Saturday night session of the USATF Indoor Championships is happening at Ocean Breeze Track in Staten Island. This isn't just any meet. This is where America decides who represents the country at the World Indoor Championships in Poland. The pressure is heavy, the competition is elite. But here's what makes this moment different. Nobody was talking about Emily Mackay going into this race. Elle St. Pierre was the favorite. She's a former training partner of Mackay's. This wasn't just any rivalry. Mackay had recently left the New Balance Boston team, where she trained directly under Elle, to join Pete Julian's Union Athletic Club. This was the student returning to face her mentor on the biggest stage in America, a two-time Olympian. And just 9 months after giving birth to her second son, she was running the fastest times of the year. St. Pierre had beaten Mackay by 12 seconds just 5 weeks earlier in Boston. Think about that. 12 seconds in a 3,000-meter race is huge. That's not a close race. That's a dominant win. So when Mackay stepped onto that track, the experts weren't expecting drama. They were expecting Elle to win. Clean and simple. They were wrong. St. Pierre did what St. Pierre does. She went to the front early and forced a brutal pace. By 2,000 meters, both runners had gone through the halfway point in 5 minutes 49 seconds. Think about what that means. St. Pierre ran her final 1,000 meters on an 8 minutes 12 seconds pace. That's incredibly fast. That's the kind of pace that usually breaks people. But Mackay stayed with her. For most of the race, they ran together. Mackay was fighting just to stay close. Watching from the sidelines, you could see the struggle. St. Pierre was working hard. She was doing everything right. She was controlling the race the way a champion should. Then something shifted. With about 400 meters left, both runners are still together. Elle is still in front. Emily is still behind. The crowd starts getting louder because they can see both runners are still in this fight. This isn't over yet. But what happens in the final 400 is where Emily McKay made her move. And it was devastating. Here's the number that defines this race. 29.94 seconds. That's what Emily McKay ran for her final 200 meters. To put that in perspective, while Mackay broke 30 seconds, Elle St. Pierre, one of the fastest closers in the world, could only manage a 31 flat. At this level, that 1 second difference in a final 200 meters is like Mackay having an extra gear nobody knew existed. With 200 meters to go, Mackay made her move. She didn't just run past Elle St. Pierre. She accelerated so hard that St. Pierre couldn't stay with her. In the final 2 turns of the track, Mackay took control. The final time, 8:30.01. Elle St. Pierre, 8:30.07. They were separated by 0.06 seconds. That's 600ths of a second. That's how close this race was. That's how small the margin between winning and losing really is. But here's the thing people started screaming about the moment Mackay crossed the finish line. She just broke a 36-year-old record. Lynn Jennings set the meet record way back in 1990. The time was 8:40.45. For 36 years, that record stood untouched. 36 years. Think about all the runners who have tried. Think about all the championship races. Think about all the training blocks and all the chances athletes had to break this mark. Nobody did it. And then Emily McKay came along and crushed it by 10 full seconds. 10 seconds doesn't sound like much until you understand track and field. In a 3,000-meter race, 10 seconds is enormous. That's not margins. That's domination. That's the difference between a good runner and an elite runner. But wait, there's another layer to this story that makes it even wilder. Remember what we said about Elle St. Pierre? She also ran faster than the old record. Elle ran 8:30.07. That time also destroys the 36-year-old mark. So, not only did Emily break the record, but her second-place finisher also broke it. This wasn't just one great performance. This was two elite runners erasing a record from the 1990s in the same race. Here's what makes this even more shocking. Emily McKay is not a household name. She went to Binghamton University, a small school. She's not from a major running program. She's not getting constant media attention like some of the big names in track. But here's what she is. She's disciplined. She's hungry. And in 2024, she proved she belongs at the highest level. She made the 2024 Olympic team by running 3 minutes 55.90 in the 1,500 meters. That time ranks third all-time for American women, third ever. She went to Paris as an Olympian. Then, in 2025, she made the World Indoor Championships team and won a bronze medal in the 1,500 meters in Glasgow. So McKay has been getting faster. She's been getting stronger. But she was still overshadowed by people like Nikki Hiltz, who keeps winning national titles. Until February 28, 2026, when she finally claimed the spotlight for herself. This is important to understand. McKay didn't just win a race, she hit a milestone that only 9 American women in history have ever hit indoors. With this 8:30.01 time, she's now the 9th fastest American woman ever in the 3,000 meters indoors. 9th, all time. She went from being a runner who was good but not getting noticed to being a top 9 performer in American track history. In one race, at one meet, by running 10 seconds faster than a 36-year-old record. That's not just progress. That's a career-defining moment. Before McKay stepped onto the track, her indoor personal best was 8 minutes 40.8 seconds. She didn't just run a 5-second PR, she hacked 10 full seconds off her best time in a single race. That kind of jump at the professional level is almost unheard of. She came in as a huge underdog to Elle, who has a personal best of 8:20. Elle was in better form. Elle had recently beaten her. Elle had built a reputation as one of the top 3,000-meter runners in the world. But McKay switched coaches. She started training with Pete Julian at Union Athletic Club. And something clicked. She ran a 5-second personal record. That's massive. That's not a tiny improvement. That's proof that the new training is working. That's proof that the change she made was the right call. And she did it when it mattered most. At nationals. Against the best competition. With a world team on the line. McKay qualified for the World Indoor Championships in Poland on March 20th to 22nd. She's heading there as a newly crowned national champion. She's heading there as a runner who just proved she can hang with anyone in the country. She's heading there with momentum. Elle St. Pierre also qualified for Worlds. Both runners made the team. Both destroyed the old record. But Emily McKay, she's the one walking away from nationals as the champion. She's the one who ran the time everyone will remember. She's the one who answered the bell when nobody expected her to show up. So when you watch the highlight of this race, remember what you're seeing. You're not just watching two good runners compete. You're watching a 36-year-old record getting absolutely crushed. You're watching Emily McKay announce herself to the world as an elite distance runner. You're watching the moment that changed her career. She just crushed a record that stood since 1990, and she did it in the most dominant, impressive way possible. It's one of the greatest moments of her life. That's the story. That's why this race matters. That's why people are still talking about it.